The all-new Shadow Systems CR920XL. What a mouthful, right? But guys, if it's a Shadow Systems pistol and it's brand new, you're here because you want to see it from us, right? And you want to see what we have to say about it. I'll be the first one to tell you, the XL probably is not personally for me. And in our mantra of making gun reviews honest again, I'll tell you exactly why. I've carried the Shadow Systems CR920XB since last year when they came out with this pistol. I've carried it every single day since then. I actually had to blow some lint off of it. This pistol has 3,000 to 4,000 rounds through it. I've had like one malfunction that was likely ammo related. Other than that, it's been 100% reliable. The shooting a pistol with a compensator and a comp pistol just shoots so well. Now I've seen a lot of stuff in regards to marketing pushes and things like that and folks saying how good this thing shoots, right? So this actually fits a role or fits a need per se, where it's similar in size to a Glock 19 as far as the grip length and barrel, but is slim. So if you know their MR920, it's similar to that, but slim. And there's arguably nothing like this on the market. There is the Glock 48, right? But it has a slightly shorter dust cover, and I want to see if this thing shoots a little bit different than that. And in addition to that, see if, you know, how it compares to my CR920 XP. But I'm going to shoot this in the almost exact same configuration as the XP with a light and a red dot on it. Now, all my pistols nowadays, I shoot almost every single one of them with a red dot unless they just don't have an optics cut. In 2025, there is very little downfall to a red dot versus all the upsides to shooting them. So we'll shoot that today. We'll see how this thing performs. I haven't shot it a single round yet. I took it out of the pistol bag that it comes with. You do get 2 of the 15 round magazines. The fitment and all that stuff seems pretty good for the Shadow Systems, pretty normal, what we're used to. There's a little bit of a zipper sound I'm noticing on the guide rod, which I don't, you know, I've never really noticed that before. Like, you don't hear it here on my XP. I don't see it on my MR920 or really all the rest of them. So it's a little bit different. I'm not used to that per se. The slide serrations are standard, what you're used to, and you know, some of the best in the business, right? They do have the good ones across the top. This one does have the lightning cuts because this is an Elite Series model. Now maybe they're going to end up having a foundation or something like that. Now that would be nice, right? Save you a few bucks. It is 800 bucks. So it's a little bit on the higher side compared to some of the other ones on the market. But you do get a lot of things, obviously, like the great optics cut that Shadow Systems does have. And then down here on the bottom, the triggers are pretty good. How does this one feel? About like the XP does. I'd say it doesn't feel as good, but that one honestly has a ton of rounds. So I'm gonna actually check the pull weight on it and we'll see how she does. So 5'9" on there, so 5 pounds 9 ounces. Try it one more time. 5 pounds 14 ounces, right? So we're probably on the higher side of 5.5 on this, if I was to guess. We'll try it one more time, get our little average. So that one actually broke at 6. So really we're trending on the upper side of 5.5 pounds is what I would say for the overall trigger weight. Now, comparatively, on my XP, this is heavily broken in, right? That's very important to recognize. Let's see how this thing pulls. Yeah, 5 pounds even. In fact, I bet it's gonna pull sub 5. Yeah, 5 pounds even. So break-in, right, with a Glock style pistol is very, very common. How they feel smooth on trigger and all that stuff. A lot of folks complain about the CR series of triggers and they say that they suck. They're not the best, right? But for me personally, how they perform and how they shoot, there's no downfall to them. Just learn how to shoot the trigger on that gun. Now, can you switch them out? Go to aftermarket ones, of course you can. But really how this thing feels versus how the all-new XL feels is a significant difference. Now this is, like I said, very broken in. I've shot it a lot. Everything on this thing feels different and it's been 100% reliable and it's held up great. I'll probably still continue to carry it, right? So let's shoot the XL, see how this thing performs, and see if it lives up to some of that marketing hype where they're saying that this thing's somewhat revolutionary. There's nothing else that's really like it in the market, or see how it shoots, because it does fit very well. Obviously, you know, it's going to conceal exactly like my CR920 XP conceals. I have no issues. The reason I carry this, it conceals better than an X Macro. Conceals better than like the Canic Prime, you know, the Smith & Wesson. I don't really care for how they design the magazines and the overall capacity on that pistol, as well as I like the fact of how, you know, this thing ultimately how it performs and how it shoots. You know, it's a sub, you know, $900 gun with some savings in the market, right? and it shoots extremely well. So let's shoot this XL right now. I'll load it up, see how she does. With shadow distance pistols, they always say that they do have a 200 round break-in. So today, out of the box, this pistol, sometimes, you know, a lot of folks will say that the pistols are cherry picked or whatever they are. This thing looks like it has maybe test fired 1 to 2 times, right? So let's see how she performs. I check my dot. Shoots pretty nice. All right, so down here in the pelvic girdle, a little bit on the left there. We'll adjust it after I dump out this mag. So let's start this thing off. Bill drill from the low ready. All right, so this target wasn't completely clean before we started today, but all the hits were A-zone. Thing shot great there. A 218 from the low ready. We'll do it one more time. We're just past 7 yards for our bill drill, so it's actually closer to 10. We'll do it one more time. Again, 6 rounds. There's 2 rounds, right? So we're gonna do a reload. So it'll be 2 rounds, reload, 4 rounds. So I did 7 shots because I can't count. Dropped these 2. The rest of them are all within the A zone. Like I said, those ones are just outside of it. We'll move over here to our other target. And what I'm gonna do here on this target is I'm actually going to retreat from it. I'm gonna do 3 rounds. So ultimately 3 rounds and assess, and then I'll engage the target there on my left once it comes into my field of view. Again, we're gonna do this one from, I'll do this one from concealment. This should be relatively similar to like shooting my XP. This gun does shoot very well. To be frank, I'm pleasantly surprised. I kind of saw some of the marketing from Shadow Systems, no offense to those folks there, and thought, what are we doing here, right? It looks like a Glock 48 with a long dust cover. But this thing does shoot better than a CR920X. In the CR920, I prefer it even over a CR920P. Maybe not my XP, but this thing does shoot well with no comp. So again, we're gonna do this from concealment, 3 rounds retreat, and do that target over there with 3 rounds. Okay. All good hits, no additionals outside. We'll check this one over here. Wasn't a clean target before we started, but I only had this one out that was there before, a little bit of shrapnel that was there before. So run it again. I got 2 rounds, an additional mag here in the pocket. We'll run this into a reload. So 2 rounds, reload. I'll put 1 in the head after I reload here while retreating, and then I'll do 3 rounds on the other target. I threw that one, I shanked that headshot. So let's see if we could fix that. 2 rounds, center mass, and I'll put 1 in the head, so failure drill on the retreat. All right, so fix that up a little bit right in the nose, just what we're looking for. How does the CR920XL shoot? It shoots very nice. And this slim package, I think this thing shoots identical to an MR920. I don't know if they did anything different, right? The science behind it, how did they accomplish it? I shot a Glock 48 enough. If you go back on our channel like 4 years ago, kind of right when we started, I carried a Glock 48 for almost 2 years. I carried it almost exclusively for 2 years before I went to a C2 Staccato. And how this shoots is a lot better than a Glock 48. I also like the fact, like with the grip design and the beaver tail, I don't get slide bite with this gun. I do get that with a Glock 48. So shoot a few more rounds and we'll have to reload. I'm gonna do 2 rounds here while retreating and then engage the other target with 2 rounds. I'm actually gonna start this one out again from the concealment. I'm gonna push back a little bit. It'll be 2 rounds center mass and then 2 rounds on that one. Okay, I got one more round left in the pistol. All our hits are good again. So on this one, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna approach the target, right? I got one round in the gun. We're gonna pretend like I don't actually have one round. I'm gonna approach the target from concealment, you know, right? We're gonna pretend I gotta execute a headshot here, maybe on a hostage. So I'll come out of concealment, I'll approach the target, I'll say drop the gun, and I'll put one round in the head. So. Drop the gun, drop the gun, drop the gun. All right, so, okay. The CR920XL, I am pleasantly surprised in how it performs. I'm gonna be honest, Shadow Systems Marketing, when I saw it, like I said, not to really, you know, bang on those guys too much, right? I was like, what's revolutionary? Right? What's so special? Forged from Fire and all the other stuff out there. I saw it, and as a longtime Shadow Systems fan, I said, well, that's just BS. Like, what is it, right? The gun shoots just as good as an MR920. I don't notice any different. I did carry an MR920 for a while. In fact, just their Foundation series. Now, you know, hopefully we'll see like a Foundation, you know, with these. What I would say is, the $800 is a lot of money for the Elite Series CR920XL. I could run this review out for the next 30 minutes, right? And we could just continue shooting it, but what are we gonna gather from there? It's been reliable. I think it will continue to be that, so I'll shoot a few more mags, we'll close it out. But before we close it out, if you're looking for a concealed carry piece, it's pretty hard to beat the CR920XL compared to an MR920 or a Glock 19 or a Glock 48. I think it fits a really great role with no compensator. I just think it's a great pistol. A few more rounds here. What we're gonna do now is I got 15 rounds loaded up in our XL. I'm gonna shoot this last mag through here. I'm gonna switch then to the XP. I'll shoot 15 rounds through it, then go back to the XL, and then I'll give you guys my conclusions on the two pistols, and ultimately, which one do I think is the right choice for you. So I'm gonna start this off. I'm actually gonna approach the target, doing a failure drill, 2 to the chest and 1 to the head, while walking up on it. 6 rounds total now so far. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm actually gonna speed it up a little bit, approaching the target on a faster pace. And I'm gonna fire my, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna approach the target. I'm gonna start my timer as I'm approaching that will actually start it. Okay, so it's 3 rounds in a second. We'll start it off again. I got a few rounds. I'm gonna start a little further back now. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna approach the target. When the buzzer goes off, I'll draw from concealment while approaching the target. Okay. Again, all our hits are looking pretty good. I have one there I shanked early in the video. I got 2 rounds left before we switch to that XP. See if I can get one in the, we'll get 2 headshots here. On the buzzer, we'll see if we can do it from high ready in about a second. So 125. Shanked one out here on the earlobe, but that's okay. So now let's switch to that XP. I now have the CR920 XP. We'll see how this thing performs compared to what we've just been doing. Again, this is my carry gun. I'm gonna take that light off it too before we finish it up. Okay. Yeah, you can, like, you know, feel the muzzle blast, right? Let's not pretend that we're little kids and say that the muzzle blast on the 9mm has so much pressure, it's gonna blow eardrums, cause a flash. That's all FUD lore, right? So let's shoot this XL. Again, we'll get that light off there for you. Took the light off our CR920XL. Let's see how it performs. We'll do a similar string of fire as the last one. Those are 2/8 splits. 2.8 splits again. I don't know what to say other than I don't think the XP is any more controllable than the XL. It's surprising. The only thing I can guess, like I said, I don't personally know because I don't have like the secrets of design behind the XL, but this is not just a standard, you know, freaking XP with no comp. This does shoot different than a Glock 48. In fact, this thing shoots well and returns back to zero extremely well. I'm pleasantly surprised. I was a little bit turned off by the launch. I kind of knew this was coming ahead of time, and I'm like, okay guys, like I've seen this, like sweet. You made a long slide XL with a full grip. We kind of all knew this was coming, but it shoots really great. It shoots different than what I expected it to do, and I'm impressed. A little over 200 rounds today, 100% reliable. I think it will continue to be. Again, for me personally, I don't have issues with my Shadow Scissors pistols. I really never have. The one gun I did was a CR920P, magazine related. So magazines fail at times, right? The XL though, at the $800 price tag, is steep. That won't be for everybody. Do I think it's worth the $800? To the right shooter who wants to get performance while still having a slimline package, I think it is. I really do. And in general, allowing these to stay on the market and get out there and for people to see them, you'll see that price come down. Hard pressed not to recommend this for a carry gun over an MR920. I definitely would. I think it's easier to conceal. You know, if you're an agency or a department looking for a Glock style pistol with all the 320 stuff that's going on out there, I think Shadow Scissors makes a great option. They're, you know, Glock clones, quote unquote, right? But they do a lot of stuff that they don't do. And I think that the XL or the CR920XL is a fantastic pistol, and you should check it out.